Hey everybody, it's Dave with Strategic Defensive Solutions with another gun video. Here you go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's Dave with Strategic Defensive Solutions here again, working on a Dan Wesson DWX Compact. We've got it all broken down, as you can see, okay? There's a lot of really cool stuff happening inside the body of this firearm, and I'm gonna point those things out to you. I'm not gonna go so far as to be like, this is the same and this isn't the same as the 1911 or the 75, whatever, okay? Not gonna do all that stuff. What I wanna do though is show you kind of what I'm seeing when I'm in the gun, evaluating kind of the build, the quality of it, things that are fit or touched by a human being at the factory, and then some of the innovation inside this firearm. So one of the first things that's a little unique to the firearm is the external extractor. It's a big beefy son of a bitch. It is a tool steel part, so that's pretty cool. A lot less prone to breakage than the internal extractor of the 1911, and that's, you drive the pin out the top of the slide, comes out the bottom, extractor and spring come out the side of the firearm. The firearm pin and everything comes out the same exact way. Obviously for YouTube, I'm not trying to tell you how to build or take them apart. Apparently that's a no-no. As far as the barrel, the slide, the recoil spring, all that stuff comes apart in a very similar fashion to other firearms you may be familiar with. As we look under the hood though, we'll look at the hammer and the sear. This is really going to be the heart of this beast, right? You can see that the sear nose is polished, as well as the sides of the sear. I don't know how good of a look you're getting at that, but I'm trying. And then the feet of the sear, where the disconnector is going to be running. As far as the hammer it goes itself, there's not really any polishing done. A little bit at the actual sear engagement tabs, but that's about it, right? The strut's not polished, and those are things you would see on a $3,000 or $5,000 gun. Not something I would expect to see here. But on the disconnector, it is in fact polished. This is all from the factory. They do polish the head of the disconnector where it rides within the frame, and then where the slide rides over it, as well as the connecting surface, the part that connects with the back of the hammer bow, or the trigger bow, excuse me. Apparently I'm retarded now. And then where the spring rides, okay? There's your leaf spring. You only need 2 of the 3 on this model, because this guy right here controls the palm safety or beaver tail safety on a 1911. Well, that's not present on this pistol. So they are using 1911 leaf springs on the DWX. They are not polishing or rounding out the tops of the leaf springs, which is something I generally do. I will do that today before we get it back together. I have already adjusted tension on the spring, so we're going to see if that brings the weight down to where I want it once we get it put back together. And if it's not, we'll just pop it back out and make some more adjustments. If the trigger feels gritty or I uncover any kind of junk going from the 4.5 down to about a 3, then I will address that by polishing and stoning the appropriate surfaces of the hammer and the sear. Okay. The cool thing about this pistol is the trigger. For a 1911, you run the trigger through the back of the frame. Here, you just kind of set it in and drop it down through the top, right? That makes it real easy to work on. It makes it real easy to get to. And the hammer and the sear, the disconnector and the sear are housed in this housing, which sets inside the firearm, right? So it's got this chassis here. That makes working on this stuff and seeing how things are interfacing together while they're put together, man, that makes it so much more convenient than trying to look through the back end with the safety removed of a 1911 or trying to get some weird angles on it. You can just freaking see what's going on right there. Makes it pretty simple. As far as looking at hammer interface, I mean, it's still right there. Right, it's still right there. So you still have to kind of monkey around to get a look at what the hammer interface is doing with the sear. But it sure makes putting them back together a freaking lot easier. You just do it all right here, and then you pop this right in the top of the firearm instead of trying to play a little monkey game where you're rattling things around and trying to get things straight, right? So the one thing that we want to overcome, right, is the shortfall of the right side only or left side only for a right-handed shooter safety. So this is the safety that comes in the firearm, and this is the pin that it rides on. Okay, so this kind of flange on one side, right, so it doesn't go all the way through the firearm. Now, this is the ambidextrous safety for it, and the sleeve rides inside the frame, the housing, and it encapsulates the fitment legs and tabs, so that one of the common problems with the 1911 is that these things will open up and one side will be loose, right? This sleeve is going to keep that from happening. That is a really, really smart design. Also, with that new design, I've never seen a sleeved safety before, which is super, super cool because it's going to alleviate a lot of problems for a guy like me. It also incorporates something I really like in having a flanged pin here, which assists in retaining the offside safety, right? So you don't have a leg sticking out underneath a grip panel, and the safety doesn't wobble out of the side of the gun. So those two things right there are going to keep this safety rock solid once it's in the gun. It won't work itself loose. The fitment tabs or on the safety itself, how they fit together like this, won't have an opportunity to open up and kind of shimmy around in there. So it should be rock solid forever once it's in the gun. It does fit together just like a 1911, whereas you've got to file this surface here, which will be done, right? Obviously, this is an untouched, brand new safety. It comes like this. I will have to probably remove a little material from the front edge there just to get it to engage properly. But right now, that's all I got. Very cool gun, very cool design differences, man. This chassis is fucking hella cool. The design of the safety, the Ambi safety, is just, it's so simple, it's stupid. But somebody should have thought of this a long time ago, and I wish that was me, but it wasn't. So anyway, I will put this thing back together once everything's done. We'll operate the new safety and try out the new trigger press. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we got this thing wrapped up. Gosh, she's sexy. Safety goes on and off with authority. It doesn't snap on the way that it snaps off, but it is very positive. Okay, very positive. Now she wears an Ambi safety. Okay, very positive and effective. Okay, trigger pull is way lighter. It feels lighter than it is. As a matter of fact, when I first did the spring adjustments, it was in the pound range. It was, you touched it and it went off. But right now, I've got it right about 3 1/4. So that was 3 1/4. Let's do another. You notice I'm gripping it like I would grip a 1911. Whereas if I were depressing a beaver tail safety, it's 3 1/4, right? Exactly within an ounce. Again, so it's 3 1/4. You can see that it's right between 1/4 and 1/2, so like 3 pounds, 6 or 7 ounces ish. Okay, it's within an ounce every time. Super clean. It's very positive on. It just doesn't have the same snap that it has coming off. You could probably stand to hit it once or twice more. Just swipe it with a stone. Just give a little bit more clearance, but it's super positive. And the sear is going friggin' nowhere. So I'm okay with that. Actually, I'm really good with that, actually. I want it to snap off, yet not be difficult to get on, but have complete engagement so that it doesn't accidentally go bang. Very, very cool. Let's demonstrate that. Nothing changed. Still clean, short reset, super clean. So I didn't uncover junk when I got into the pistol. All I had to do was do some spring manipulation, and now instead of a 4.5 pound trigger, I have a 3.5 pound trigger that is super clean. So that would feel like maybe a 2.5 pound trigger in something that's not as concise and clean. Anyway, if you have any questions about the DWX, let me know. I'm gonna add some shooting video for your enjoyment.